Hey, Adam.
Yeah, Mark.
Let's talk about Start With a Win, the book, chapters 2, 3, and 4.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Every day is filled with choices. You're here because you're choosing to start with a win. Get ready to be inspired, learn something new, and connect with the Win Nation.
Oh, we got a little bit of that Start With a Win book dance from Adam Contos.
Was that a drone in your hands?
That was a drone. It's the
What is that? The drone dance?
that was the drone dance. You had the book, I had the drone.
Nice.
The Mavic Mini.
That looks like fun. Can you fly it between your face and the camera here on the?
That would probably not be advised. I might chop up my face or crash it into the camera. If you're not watching this on YouTube, head over to YouTube and watch this ridiculousness.
Yeah, we're talking about. I mean, I had the book dance. We've been talking about the book dance.
That's right.
I do a lot more of the book dance. But hey, you want to talk about the book today?
I
right?
do. It's as we kind of lead up to the book coming out this fall. I think there's a lot of great lessons that we can kind of share with people and get them excited to pre-order that book and maybe order a few for their friends, because all the proceeds of this book go to the Children's Miracle Network hospitals. And so it's just a great way for you to help out some kids and get some great content at the same time. So who doesn't love helping kids?
So chapter 2 is really kind of a foundational aspect for Start With a Win, because what we talk about is, and the title of the chapter is Our Missions Set the Playbook, because everything we do creates a memory. It's programming for our brain, and you got to think of your brain like a computer. And ultimately, when we have a struggle in life, we reflect on those things that are within our brain, within our memory, in our computer upstairs there, and try to figure out an answer to those. And those answers are the result of programming that we give ourselves. The programming is from successes, it's from failures, it's from education, it's from intimidation, it's from feelings, it's from interactions, things like that. But ultimately, that's the foundation for how we start winning, is understanding that what we put in our head is how we will react, and we need to dictate and understand those different parts of our lives. So pretty interesting when you start looking at it that way. It's really important for us to understand, Mark, that we don't want to you don't want to have an easy life. And everybody's like, I've had a hard life and I'd rather have an easy life. But the reality is you need to experience all of life. You need to experience successes. You need to experience failures. Why? And I talk about this in the book. What's a failure? A failure is a learning opportunity.
Right.
What is a challenge? A challenge isn't a burden on your shoulders. A challenge is an opportunity for you to either create a success or create a learning moment. Let me throw at you 2 questions that we should be asking ourselves all the time. And that is, how do we create an environment in which people want to perform at their highest levels? Okay? I mean, you have to create a trusting environment, an environment where it's okay to fail. And how do we unlock someone's potential instead of pushing them to barely get by? So have you noticed that if when it comes to somebody's performance, when it comes to winning, and maybe it's your own, if somebody pushes on you, you take your foot off the gas and you create resistance to that. But if they encourage you and you have that enthusiasm, you outperform even what you would have done if they were driving you hard. So it's interesting. Pushing on people backs them off. Getting in front of them and encouraging them to follow you increases their probability of success and their effort to do that. All right. So moving on from the foundation to really what is the number one problem, the number one headwind that people run into when it comes to achieving success. And I'll just say it in one word: fear. Fear is the number one reason. I mean, you could say overwhelm is fear also. So fear and overwhelm. The number one reason why somebody doesn't even try something. And think about it. So if you're in sales right now, what's the number one reason why a sale fails? Fear and overwhelm. That is really the biggest situation that the consumer goes through that prevents the sale from occurring. So we all live with fear. I call that fear the beast. The fear is the beast. And inside of each of us lurks that beast. So what that beast does is that causes us fear and overwhelm. That beast causes us hesitation, causes us to doubt our skills. It causes us to think, I'm not the right person for this. That's called the imposter syndrome, by the way. When you start doubting yourself and go, I'm not the right person for this. It causes self-limiting beliefs. It causes all these different challenges that we have, that I have yet to say something that is truly a game stopper for you. But you have all these same problems. Everybody does. We have this beast. So we fear this beast if we don't know how to put ourselves in a position to take advantage of this beast. So what you have to think about is, through that door of whatever that opportunity is that you have, maybe it is as an adult going into that meeting or presenting to your board or whatever, that beast is in that room. That beast is there. You can choose to either be afraid of the beast and fight the beast, and that will limit you because you're tied up fighting the beast. You're so full of anxiety and trepidation, it's pushing against you. Or you can go in and you can say, that beast is my friend. That beast is my friend. I'm going to go in that room and I'm going to party with the beast. And that brings out our different emotions that we operate under. We operate under several emotions, fear and love. The reality is, when you want to realize what emotion you're in, think of, am I in fear? Which is fight, flight, freeze, excuses. You start hearing people say but in their conversation. I would do this but. Fear.
Right.
Or the other emotion is love. Love is unconditional giving. Love is saying, I'm going to go into that room and I'm going to hug the beast. I'm going to love on that beast because I love the opportunity that that beast is preparing me for, that strength that that beast is giving me. I love going and doing this. I mean, ultimately, that's all you have to say is, I love doing this. So, Mark, chapter 4 is an interesting tool in the toolbox because this is one that I think everybody takes for granted. You hear about the last time you ever read a book. A lot of people ever read a book was like when they left high school, right? Or left college. You're like, wait a second, aren't you like 50? You didn't read it? Yeah, you don't read books or anything like that. But the reality is, I learned this leadership lesson and this success lesson early on, and I think this is incredibly important. So I met Dave Liniger, who was my main mentor, great friend, co-founder of Remax. I met him in like the mid-90s. And I asked him, I said, what is the key to being a leader? He said, be a sponge. Be a sponge. And I said, oh, okay, so I should read a lot of books. He goes, no. That's only half of it. That's half of it. The other half is you got to give it back. So let's unpack that for a second, because be a sponge, learning. What do people really want in life? They want to be better.
Right.
Okay? I mean, they want somebody to help them unlock their potential. That's really what a coach does, is helps people unlock their potential. And we'll talk about coaching later on in the book. But the reality is, you don't get better if you don't learn.
Right.
So I have a saying, leaders learn, learners lead. Leaders learn, learners lead. And I also have a quote in this chapter. It opens with this quote: if you're not moving forward, you're losing ground. So how do you learn? How do you move forward? You learn. That's the reality of being a sponge.
Right.
And then how do you lead? You give that you learned back. That's really what this chapter is about. And it goes back to thinking about, like if you take a class. Everybody has to take a class sometime. Where do you sit? The people who sit in the front of the room perform better. It's a reality.
Makes sense.
So, I mean, you're more likely to pay a higher level of attention and effort to the materials in the room you're going to participate, because you're face-to-face with the instructor, and we have this social contract that if I'm talking to you, you're probably going to talk back to me. So that's how instructors gauge that. But ultimately, having taught classes, the people who sit in the front do better. So if you're struggling in class, by the way, people, listeners, sit in the front of the freaking room.
That's right.
Okay? So you think about that and you go, all right, how do I learn? Be a sponge. Think about that. How do I learn? And here's a question for leaders. I asked this question because we want people to behave the way that we behave as leaders. We want them to model the leadership that they see, but because that's what you do. You enroll and influence people as a leader, okay? If they see you learning and you go and you deliver those learnings to them on a regular basis. So leaders, I know I can't see your hand if you raise it right now, but I'm going to ask you, raise your hand if you give leadership learnings to your people that you lead at least 3 or 4 times a week. If you don't, step it up and go learn something and give it back.
That's awesome. Man, I'm excited for this book to come out. And if you're listening to this and you've enjoyed this content, make sure you head over to startwithawin.com and pre-order your copy of Start With a Win, the book. Because one is it's going to educate your brain, and you're going to get inspired and motivated and get some direction for your business and your personal life. But also, by ordering the book, all author proceeds are going to go to the Children's Miracle Network hospitals, and you're going to be able to participate in doing some good. So it's a win-win-win, as I like to call it. The triple win.
The triple win.
That's right. Adam, thanks so much. And until next time, remember, start with a win. All right, guys. Hey, thanks for sticking around on YouTube, and make sure to hit that thumbs up icon, subscribe to the podcast, and click on that bell icon so you get notified every single time we go live or we're here on YouTube. And also, yeah, if you didn't hear earlier, the book, Start With a Win, it's coming out. Pre-order at startwithawin.com. Until next time, we'll see you when we see you.